UC Berkeley students say no to Bill Maher. Will First Lady Michelle Obama make a run for the U.S. Senate in 2018? And could tiny houses be the wave of the future? All this and much more coming up on The Rundown.
All right, stand by. 10 seconds.
Ready, camera,
Show.
talent. Ready, camera,
And cue talent.
3, 2, 1.
Record.
Thanks so much for joining us. This is The Rundown, where Stephen Cruiser models coats that your favorite art history professor once wore in 1972. I'm your host, John Phillips. Joining me from our Los Angeles studio is the aforementioned Stephen Cruiser, modeling the threads. And right next to him is PJTV contributor Michelle Fields. Now it's time to go to the top of the rundown. And Michelle, you're up first.
At the top of my rundown, African-American activists in Chicago say the black community has been hurt by black Democrats. 3 men who are community leaders in Chicago were interviewed by Rebel Pundit. They said the real oppressors of the community are black liberal Democrats pushing a neoliberal agenda. They also said with poverty in black communities, the president's focus on raising the minimum wage is a way to get the poor people's attention. You know, John, if you look at the areas where African Americans are really suffering, it's Los Angeles, it's Detroit, it's Chicago. These are the areas that liberals have been in charge of for quite some time. And these are the areas where the liberal philosophy has been completely implemented. It has been fully realized, yet African Americans are not doing well there. Why do they continue to vote for Democrats?
Well, I mean, the cities are really a disaster zone. You look at Los Angeles, there are 15 members of the city council. Only one of them is a Republican. By the way, only one is a woman. So Democrats and liberals, when they all get together, they voted all the women out. It's all a bunch of liberal men. San Francisco doesn't have one Republican on the council. The makeup of the New York and the Chicago city councils are very similar. And you're exactly right. There is no economic opportunity in these cities at all. The crime rate is through the roof, including crimes involving guns. And the Republicans that do live in the cities have voted, but they didn't vote at the ballot box, they voted with their feet. And they moved out of the cities, and they moved into suburbs, and they moved into rural areas. They moved into places where the government actually works. And Detroit is a shell. I mean, you look at Detroit, that's a shell of its former self. That used to be one of the biggest cities in the country. Now they're raising buildings, they're raising what formerly businesses or factories, and they're putting up farmland again because it's been so destroyed by government. This isn't a natural disaster, it's a man-made disaster. And at some point, people are going to realize this when they wake up and there are no jobs to go to and their kids are getting picked off.
Cruiser, do you think it's a possibility that African Americans will turn to Republicans at some point, or do you think it's locked in? The Democrats have their vote.
I think, back to my old thing, the media narrative, I think you have to chip away at that because I think that's what drives a lot of this still. The Democrats have been so successful over the years at saying that they're doing better things for black people and all minorities, and people get it ingrained. I have a friend who's black and she's very progressive, and I said, what's the deal? This isn't working. I pretty much posed the same thing. I said, in these cities, it's not working. She goes, at least every once in a while, they give us something. And I'm like, what does that mean? What are they giving you? They Detroit, Chicago, these things. I think eventually people will start, and I think part of the problem is on the Republicans too. You have to start making the economic liberty case to minorities. You can't just talk about government this, government that. You can't have the argument saying what they're doing is bad. You have to say liberty is good, and economic freedom is good, and here's what we can do to help you become more economically free.
Think about Los Angeles, New York, when those cities function at their peak.
Yes.
Dick Reardon, a Republican, was mayor of Los Angeles, and Rudy Giuliani, a Republican, was mayor of New York. Those cities were considered to be completely ungovernable prior to those men being elected, and then they proved that they can work. So maybe they'll do it again, who knows. All right, Cruiser, what do you have for us?
Top of my rundown, Bill Maher's honesty about Islam has him in hot water with the brainwashed Berkeley student body. UC Berkeley students have petitioned to have Maher removed as their fall commencement speaker. The petition on change.org calls Maher, quote, a blatant bigot and racist who has no respect for the values UC Berkeley students and administration stand for, end quote. On a recent episode of Maher's HBO show, he said Islam is the only religion that acts like the mafia that will kill you if you say the wrong thing. Now, in part of this longer statement in this position, it says respecting all religions. Okay, so which I got a great chuckle out of because we know on college campuses the only religion that gets respected is Islam. Nobody was mad at Bill Maher when he did Religulous and did his atheist film ranting against Christianity. Nobody got upset with him then. It's only now that he's staking out this this Islam. He was saying what's true about Islam, that liberals are getting really, really angry with him, and I think that we may have to get behind Bill Maher for a while, because I think he has the financial wherewithal to withstand all of this. Do you think Maher is having an epiphany across the board about liberalism, or do you think that this is just going to be a blip on his radar?
No, I think Bill Maher has always been intellectually honest. He's always been a man of the left, but he's not afraid to go against his audience when he disagrees with them. What is shocking to the UC Berkeley community is this. You look at the NAACP. You look at the National Organization for Women. You look at any number of organizations that are supposed to be independent to look out for blacks or look out for women or look out for Hispanics or gays. They don't really do that in practice. What they are is they're an arm of the Democratic Party. And when the interests of the Democratic Party go against the interests of whatever group they're supposed to represent, they always side with the Democratic Party. What Bill Maher does is when he disagrees, he has no problem going out and saying, no, I'm a guy who's against religion, and if you're against religion, then you have to call out Islam. And he stands by his position. And they're just not used to seeing liberal people or entities side with whatever they think or whatever they're supposed to do or whatever their cause happens to be above the Democratic Party.
Michelle, this is kind of indicative of college campuses all over, not just Berkeley right now, where the academics have brainwashed these kids into thinking like, okay, the Islam really isn't bad, it's only a few whack jobs here. Is this entire generation lost to us?
You know, I just think it's interesting. If you look at, the criticism that Bill Maher has given towards Christianity and other religions, it's fine. They sit back, they laugh, they enjoy it, it's entertainment. But if anyone touches Islam, everyone goes crazy. Like the Book of Mormon, can you imagine if there was a Broadway play making fun of Islam? People would be going crazy, insane.
They'd bomb the theater.
Yeah, they would. But then when it's Mormonism, when it's Christianity, it's fine. And this is just, like you said, it's typical liberal brainwashing indoctrination that they get from their professors.
I'm now jotting down notes for my Book of Islam parody.
By the way,
Thank you
how
for the idea.
How the Mormon Church responded to the Book of Mormon? They bought an ad and playbill saying, you've seen the play, now read the book.
Oh,
nice.
See, I don't think that Muslims would do the same.
No, I think you're probably right. Moving on to the top of my rundown, could First Lady Michelle Obama be eyeing a Senate seat right here in the Golden State? A report surfaced this week that the First Lady has her eye on Senator Dianne Feinstein's seat in 2018. That's when Feinstein's 6-year term ends, or she could retire. Senator, who's 81 years old, said that she's flattered if that report should be true, but is skeptical that it actually is. Let's not forget, at this point in the process, in 2000, Hillary Clinton was rumored to be a candidate for the U.S. Senate in New York, and everyone said that we were crazy or conspiracy theorists for floating that idea. It turned out to be true, and she won the seat in a walk. One of the things that would happen if Michelle Obama were to run for the Senate in California, which would be interesting, is that she would screw an entire generation of Democrats who have been waiting for that seat, including former L.A. Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, former San Francisco Mayor Gavin Newsom, and Kamala Harris. I
don't believe the report. I've read so many things about how she hates being in the White House. She hates D.C. She feels trapped. She doesn't like it. I just can't imagine her then running for Senate. I think what's going to happen is they're going to get out of office, they're going to start doing speeches, and they're going to be making lots and lots of money, her and the president. That's what I think it is. They're just going to make a ton of money. I don't think they're going to go back into politics.
I think they like being celebrities.
Yeah, so why would you?
I don't think either one of them wants to. I mean, the Senate, you really don't have to work, so it's not like it's a job. I mean, you have to work for 6 months once every 6 years. But
why do that when you can do what Hillary's doing, right? Is just continue to make $200,000 for a 60-minute speech, which is what's going to happen.
Well, and this First Lady has done 7,000 sitcom hits too. She wants to be on TV. I think they want a reality TV show. We may be looking at the first couple to get their own reality TV show after leaving the White House.
Let me ask you both this question. In the old days, before cable news, before talk radio, before the internet, before everyone had a phone with audio and video recording devices attached to it, was it more fun to be in the Senate? Was it more fun to be in Congress back in the 50s, 60s than it is today?
Yeah, you can get away with a lot more. Definitely.
Well, the Senate always was just an old boys club, but the Congress you actually have to work because you got to run for re-election every couple of years, so you have to have something recent to hang your hat on. In the Senate, you can just sit around with the pipe and the smoking jacket and the slippers and harumph a lot for 5.5 years, and then do something right before the election, like Lindsey Graham does, Orrin Hatch does, McCain does, and then you get reelected. So I think it has probably taken the life out of the Senate because now they got to show up, do the interviews, do other stuff, and people are paying attention to them.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time to get you your sweet spot.
Sweet spot.
And we need a camera shot on Cruiser again. Cruiser, take it away. That's Cruiser's waspy old lady imitation.
Hermione.
Sweet spot.
This, of course, is where we look at some of the lighter and softer stories making news. And Cruiser, you're up first.
In the sweet spot, the wheels on the bus go insanely fast. That's because this school bus is tricked out with a jet engine. This school bus breathes fire and can hit speeds of 367 miles per hour. It is powered with a 42,000 horsepower fighter jet engine. The bus can go a quarter of a mile in just seconds. The exhaust spits out 80-foot flames. The bus was custom made to help inspire kids to stay away from drugs. I don't know how that's working. The motto on the side of the bus reads, "Jets are hot, drugs are not." I mean, I don't know that this is speaking to the average. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, but I could just see a lot of guys going, "We should get baked and watch that."
Like all other school buses, I bet you this one also doesn't have seat belts.
No, it doesn't have seatbelts, and it will break down at the end of the run. Because I went to poor Catholic schools. Our buses broke down a lot.
All right, Michelle, what do you have for us?
In the sweet spot, more Americans are downsizing the American dream, literally. There's a rise in people moving into tiny houses. These small homes can cost anywhere from $8,000 to $30,000. You can find blueprints online. This home in Florida is about 120 square feet, enough to include a small kitchen with a fridge, sink, and microwave, also a bathroom and loft area that's used for a bedroom. Could you see yourself living in one of these tiny homes?
I'm 6'4".
No.
I'm not living in Barbie's house.
I have been obsessed with these things since a friend first turned me onto them a couple of years ago. I go on the sites, I look at them all the time, and I'm going, in the middle of the woods, just me, the bunk, that I could...
I'd get claustrophobic in there.
I'd go roam and shoot stuff and eat it and write a manifesto. That's what I would do.
All right.
Bearded Cruiser would be back, and he'd have the 40-page manifesto.
In my sweet spot, a teenage peeping Tom is busted for using his mobile phone to film a woman showering. This happened at a public pool facility in England. The teen told police he took his new phone into the shower stall to see if it was waterproof.
Right.
Cops say he was actually filming a woman showering in the neighboring stall. The woman noticed it and called for help. Teen was given 18 months community service. His phone was destroyed, and he was placed on the sex offender registry for 5 whole years.
Good recovery by Teeny McPerv, though. Just wanted to see if it was waterproof.
Doing research here.
Shower, steam, this is so steamy.
In a teenage mind, though, people would believe that.
Yeah, and the sex offender registry for 5 years, I mean, he'll be just hitting his prime by the time he's out of that. That's why didn't they put him on longer than that? So you'll be ready to go when you're 23, because you'll be all better then.
Yeah, right. He'll be in
in
Aaron Andrews' peephole.
We're gonna let that sit there.
All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Would you downsize to a tiny house to save money? And what about the UC Berkeley students taking a stand against Bill Maher? Be sure to leave your comments in the comments section below. I'm John Phillips for Stephen Cruiser and Michelle Fields joining me here in the City of Angels. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.